What's up, everybody? So I'm back again with another review for you guys today. This time we're talking about the latest reboot for Hellboy. So it's been over a decade now since our last Hellboy film with Hellboy 2, The Golden Army from Guillermo del Toro. And since then, I've kind of just been hoping that Del Toro and company would come back and do a Hellboy 3, but things didn't work out, and now we're getting a reboot with Neil Marshall directing, who I've enjoyed in the past, some of his stuff like The Descent. He's done a few good Game of Thrones episodes, and we got David Harbour stepping in for Ron Perlman as Hellboy, who I like as an actor as well. You know, that seems like a good matchup, but just some of the promotional material just really didn't hit me as much. It just felt off. Something about it just felt off to me. And unfortunately that is the case here because the film has a lot of problems. For starters, the plot isn't anything special. It's just a stereotypical plot line where someone evil, in this case the Blood Queen, returns bent on revenge to bring upon the end of the world, and of course Hellboy's there and he's caught in the crossfire and has to stop her. That's pretty much the entire plot, but the film wastes so much time on unnecessary exposition and just filler scenes that don't really go anywhere except to pad the runtime, where it just become a really tedious movie to watch. Plus, this version is rated R, unlike the Del Toro film, so they could push the boundaries when it comes to blood, gore, language, all that stuff, and they definitely do push it. Probably a little bit too much for my taste because there's just so much blood and gore that it actually just become kind of hard to watch at points. Even the humor as well is the lowest of the low-brow kind of cringe humor. Like, I don't think I laughed intentionally at any of the humor in this movie. I laughed unintentionally at other things that I'll get into in a bit, but it was just very, very Deadpool inspired in some ways. I think that's the best way to put it, but just like a really cringy version of Deadpool, which Deadpool has its own cringe, but it's actually kind of like good in a way, but in this film it didn't really work as much. To me, at least, it felt like between the unnecessary F-bomb dropping and the gratuitous violence, they were trying really, really hard to differentiate themselves from the Del Toro versions and kind of be cool, hip, and edgy and violent and stuff like that, and it just really didn't feel edgy at all. It didn't feel cool at all. It felt very dated. This film already feels like a very outdated comic book film, which is unfortunate because it comes out in 2019 and we have so many other better options for comic book films where maybe this would have worked better back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where we didn't really have that much going on. While there aren't very many bright spots in this film, I actually think David Harbour did a really good job at stepping into the role as Hellboy. Of course, he's not Ron Perlman, but I actually like that about him, that he's trying to do his own thing, kind of give the character more of the David Harbour flavor, you know, with some teenage kind of angsty character, because he's definitely not as calm and smooth as Ron Perlman is, but that's just Ron Perlman as an actor. But I liked his version. Had he had a better movie around him, I think it would have worked even better. I don't think we're going to get another version of this character, unfortunately. But I think if this is his sole outing as Hellboy, he showed enough where it was good enough. It's just the movie, everything else around him wasn't that great. The only other character that really stood out to me was Ian McShane, just because he kind of just plays the same character and everything, but it works for him because Ian McShane is so cool. Other than that, though, pretty much everybody else wasn't memorable at all. I mean, our villain character, by the Blood Queen, played by Mila Jovovich, she's like the most generic stock villain I've ever seen. Probably one of the worst comic book villains I've seen in recent comic book films, actually. Definitely worse than anything I've seen out of Marvel or DC. She's definitely pretty bad. She's just like how I said earlier, she's just a very generic, over-the-top for no reason villain that has very generic motives, and we've seen this all before, done way better, and it's just, we could have had a much better villain in this film, unfortunately. Both Hellboy's films before this had better villains. And even though there's a ton of violence in this film, there really aren't very many action scenes, especially good ones. There's maybe one, maybe two good action scenes because they're cool, and they're in the trailers, they're like one long take, and there was one of them near the very end, which would have probably been cooler if I hadn't checked out of the movie by then, just because the movie was just so dull. But it was impressive that they did these cool, elaborate action scenes in one take. It's just, there should have been more action in this. It was just so much exposition. I was just ready for this movie to be over. My last point has to touch upon just how bad the CGI in this film is. I don't know what the budget was for this film. It had to be pretty much on the lower side just because so much stuff looked really rushed and just poorly edited. And most of the effects don't even look like they're finished for the most part, especially on some of the monsters and the giants that we see. They just look really badly done, really poor green screen. It just all was really distracting. It felt like the film was not finished, and I don't know why they rolled it out. And we also see some of these really weird creature designs. Some of them actually are pretty cool, but one creature we see for the most part looks really bad, as this character looks like Bebop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the giant boar. There's a giant boar in this film that is so annoying and looks so bad on screen that I couldn't help but laugh. It was just so laughably bad between that and just some of the other FX shots. They're just so bad looking for this to be a big budgeted kind of summer blockbuster. Overall, this film is just the definition of wasted potential. So many things were wrong with it, like I just previously mentioned. David Harbour was okay. I don't know why we needed this instead of Hellboy 3. We could have just done Hellboy 3. I definitely don't recommend this film. I probably would give it like a D- or a very low D. Just because it has so much wasted potential, so many things wrong with it, but David Harbour is the one big solid positive out of this. If you're going to watch a Hellboy film, don't check this out. Just go see the original 2 Del Toro films. I mean, I watched these leading up to this, and these were much better, much more enjoyable experiences. So definitely watch these if you're going to watch a Hellboy film. But thanks so much for checking out my review for Hellboy. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the film if you checked it out. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you like this more than the Del Toro version? Speaking of the Del Toro version, let me know in the comment section down below which of the Hellboy films do you like more? This, the Hellboy 1, or Hellboy 2, The Golden Army? Just let me know. I'm just curious. Let's get a discussion going in the comments about it. Thank you so much for checking out my review. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a like, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with the movie reviews, trailer reactions, unboxings, and more. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.